Once you get that report, you want to click on modeling. Then after that, manage roles. You can, of course, start creating the roles. All right, you click on create. You can create one of these, or if you already have one, you can select it. You click on the table that you desire, add filter, select any of these rows. It's called rows, but in all honesty, they're like column headings, but we're just going to call them rows. You select any of these rows, and then after that, you create your DAX expression. So DAX, of course, is code that allows you to filter, to modify, to enhance your data within inside Power BI. Some of it is very similar to what you see inside of Excel, and some of it is very similar to what you see in a SQL statement, right? So, for instance, an example of that is the user principal equals the email address, right? So, if there's a email address here, you can say that it equals the user principal name, even though that really doesn't make sense. But and then you that will work for you. The reason why I say it doesn't make sense because the user principal name, actually, yeah, the user principal name is the email address. The username, of course, is let's just say Air Force / Jeffrey Smith. All right. You can also create additional DAX, such as if statements, user principal name equals this email address. Make sure that this other column is greater than or less than or equal to, and then it'll filter out that data as needed. Right. Another way to do this is to have a manager column, and then you can say filter by manager, filter by region, filter by country, and things of that nature, right? So these are just the rows that you set up. You select it from the tables that's inside of your report inside the Power BI desktop. Of course, and then you just add a filter based on a column, add your DAX, and then you're good to go, all right? Next thing you want to do, of course, is test that under one of these roles. You can do that by clicking on View As Role. If that works, publish it, and then add people to that role. So that was all in Power BI desktop and Power BI services. As mentioned earlier, you want to navigate to Power BI services. You want to select that data set, then security, all right? Select the data set, then security. You want to, of course, choose your role level security right here. And as mentioned earlier, just add people to that role down here via their email address, right? And then, of course, you can test that role to see how it looks. Again, if you have full access to that content, you click on the report, you will see everything. If you viewed it as one of these people, you will see it as they will see it, all right? And we'll see that in a little bit. So let's do a demo of role level security. Before we do that demo, and just go back here. All right, looks like we are recording. Just gonna double check something. Hey, Jake is here. If you have any questions, feel free to pop in the chat. Cool, thanks, Jake. All right. See, they added a couple more icons. Okay, so let's go and look at role level security. All right, here I have a report right here. We see that there's a lot of information here. This report is actually coming from a SharePoint list, right? Well, the data set's coming from a SharePoint list. We have 10 people here. We have a couple of countries, good to go. So I'm going to do right now, as mentioned in the slide deck, click on modeling. This is where you will manage the roles, and this is where you view as. I've already have a couple of roles set up. I'm just going to show you how it works. All right. I'm going to click on USA, click OK. So now only the USA shows here. So anyone who's in this USA group will only see the report like this, right? So for instance, if I go to, actually, I'll continue with this path. So I'm going to stop viewing as that person or that role. And then I'm going to click on manage roles, right? So to set one of these up, again, it's pretty easy, straightforward. For the USA one, the field is country. And of course, the name is United States. All right, the simple and easy DAX expression. All right, country is based on this column right here, or this field right here. So I'm going to create the same one again. Just going to copy this. I'm going to click create. Actually, I probably should do another one. Let me see. I'm going to do Belize. All right. Should I spell that right? All right. So now that I have Belize one, I'm going to work off of this data set. This can be a lot of tables here, right? I only imported one table in. But in this case, I'm just going to click on here, add a filter. Belize is coming from the country, all right? The value equals, of course, Belize. So if everything is right, if I spelled it right, it'll work. If this DAX expression is right, it'll work. You can, of course, check that DAX expression. Everything looks good. Otherwise, I receive an error. I'm just going to save this. And now we're good to go. So what we want to do is a view as. Select Belize. And that number should change to, I think we got a 1 there for some odd reason, but here's Belize right here. And it actually went down to Belize, so everything here is right. All right. So I'm going to take off the view as. Actually, I'll just click stop viewing. All right. So again, you can do this by manager. You can put other functions in there. You can say greater than this number, less than this number, and do a lot of other things as well. So what I'm going to do is give you some DAX functions. So it's all the DAX functions that you desire and you need. So here's the username one that I talked about, and here's a user principal name. Just going to put that in the chat. So in your spare time, feel free to check that out. So this is completed. I'm just going to publish this. First, they asked me to save it, which is good. So my Power BI looks slightly different than yours. Yesterday, there's been an update. Don't worry, most of the functionality is pretty much the same, but my user interface does look different, and there's a few features added. But everything that we're going over today is inside of your client. All right. So right now, it updated that Power BI directly inside the browser into Power BI services. So we're going to just go to Power BI services. And which account is this? Okay, cool. All right, so now, as an admin, I see everything, right? No matter what, because I basically have rights to see everything. So even if I add myself to one of those roles, I'll see everything. However, as this person right here, let's see if they're still logged in. So as Jeffrey or Jeff Smith, I only see that one item because I'm in the US, right? So how does that work? Well, we created the role, but we still need to add people to that role. So to do that, as this admin, I can go in here, all right, I can go to the data set because that's where the role is managed at, and then go to security. That's where all the data is at. And then from here, I can click on US, and there's Jeffrey Smith right there. So I'm just going to add him again. As you can see, the mod administrator is here, but again, it's not going to work for this guy because he has full access to everything. I'm just going to type in there Jeffrey Smith, and it is that one. And that's pretty much it. All right. Adding a couple other people. All right. You cannot add in groups. There's a group called finance. You cannot add in groups. You have to add person by person. Just going to save that. And that's it. So we also have the me role. We have the Belize one I just created. I'm going to add Jeffrey in here as well. Add that, and that's it. So rail level security is easy and straightforward. There are some caveats to that, as we saw in the limitations. And again, based on who I'm logged in with, I will only see the content based on whatever role level security that's set up. All right. So again, this can be according to managers. It can be according to any other criteria that you have. So I'm just going to pause there to see if we have any questions. All right. So far, so good. Makes me happy. All right. So the next topic is roles and permissions. So everyone that has a Power BI license has a My Workspace, all right? That My Workspace is for your own personal use. You shouldn't really, actually, you cannot collaborate in it at all. You can share reports, but there's no collaboration done in the My Workspace, all right? If you have a pro license or above, well, actually, you all have a premium subscription, I believe, coming up. You also have the ability to share content outside the organization, unless an administrator has turned that functionality off. But you also have the ability as an administrator to create additional workspaces. Those additional workspaces may be for projects, maybe for an department level, organization level, maybe for an entire business unit. And then after that, you may have enterprise data warehouse where you want to put in data sets and then connections so that everyone across the board can utilize that information. All right. So the higher this goes, the more people can actually see that content or can access that content. Although there are tighter administration or security as it goes higher as well. All right. So as mentioned earlier, content can be shared at the report level, dashboard level, workspace level, or data set level. All right. The roles are available, of course, in the workspace. In your own My Workspace, everyone is technically is an admin. All right. But in traditional collaboration, workspace roles are admin, member, contributor, and viewer. So usually from a workspace level, you want to add in groups, but you can also add in members as needed as well. But you usually want to do that sparingly, just because it's a lot of management, if you will, from an administrative standpoint. Again, as mentioned earlier, your My Workspace is not for collaboration. And then, of course, there's also app workspaces and then apps for broader distribution. So when you share that content, you use an email address, and then you can give them the ability to allow the recipients to share the dashboard or the report. You can allow them to build content based on those data sets. And of course, you can email a notification to them as well. In this case, we added a person, and then we also added a group. So what about the roles and permissions? As mentioned earlier, there's, of course, admins, members, contributors, and viewers. Each role has different types of permissions, ranging from updating and deleting workspaces. Of course, that's an admin. Adding and removing people as an admin. You can, of course, add members with lower permissions as a member. You can publish and update apps, share apps, allow others to share items. And then as a contributor, of course, you can create and delete content in the workspace. You can publish reports to the workspace, delete content. And then as a viewer, they can, of course, view the item, all right? And then with a pro license, they can create a report based on another workspace or copy a report. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into demo for managing permissions. So once this is published from the Power BI desktop, now now people can actually utilize those reports, right? So as a contributor, I can pretty much share this report, right? And this, of course, is that Jeffrey Smith account. Let me go to the admin account. And of course, sharing can be done here, all right? It cannot be done on the data set level easily. There's a way to do that, but not right here. So if I want to share this report, I can click here. I can add in a person. I can add in a group. Let's see. I'm not thinking of any group names right now. But let's see here. And then, of course, as we saw earlier, you can allow recipients to share the content, allow them to build content on it, as well as send an email address. I mean. Here's a direct link. I'm just going to share it. And then it's been successfully shared. So this is sharing not just this report itself, but the underlying data set, all right? Another way to share it is going directly to the report. Click and share, and then share the report. And then same functionality comes up, all right? When you create a workspace, you can give administrators rights to certain people or just the regular workspace admins. You also can give them the ability to allow contributors to update apps with workspace and things of that nature. This is good enough. I'm actually going to call this just going to save this. There we go. So now we have this new workspace. Click on access. And then this person has rights to that. I'm going to add in here Jeffrey Smith. I'm going to add here Bob. And I'm going to add the finance group. I'm going to add them in as all members. I could have chose another role. And then I'm going to make Jeffrey an admin. And then I'm going to make the finance team just viewers, right? So that's how you pretty much change permissions. Simple and straightforward. Permissions are already set. You can double check, but they're pretty much set, all right? So believe it or not, permissions are really that easy. There's a couple other things here and there that's outside the scope of this class, but that's all you have to do as it pertains to permissions, right? Permissions are important because once people can access that content and distribute it, And then you don't want, the wrong people to distribute that information. In addition to that, if you want to share this information inside of SharePoint, Teams, and things of that nature, they must have at least viewer rights to this content. All right. So in this case, I'm going to share this report right here inside of SharePoint as well in Teams. Go back and see if we have any questions. I'm going to pause right there. Jake says it's going to be right back. Cool. All right. So sharing inside of SharePoint has a few caveats. All right. Of course, besides allowing them to have access to this report. What's up?
I'm sorry, I do have a question about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. What's up?
Yes, sir. So, you mentioned that they're sharing in the workspace, and I can share the report out. And you can also add permissions inside the workspace, and then all those people can get to that workspace and can view the data. But when you were sharing the report, and you pick a person and you share the report with them, does that give them permission to the workspace, or is that permission somewhere else?
Good question. It gives them permissions to the workspace, but it only allows them to see their report.
Okay, so once that's done, where can you see where those permissions are being applied?
Good question. So right now, let me just show you how that is. This person, Jeffrey, sees that one report.
Mm-hmm.
They have access to Air Force, but only can see that one report that's shared to them. All right. And then as an admin, you can go to settings or manage permissions. And then you can see what they have access to. All right. And then, so for instance, this person only has access to this report, and these people only have access to this report as well. If there's more workbooks or reports here, then you see that they have access to those underlining content as well. Did that answer the question?
Yes, sir. I think so.
All right. So another way to get there as well, but the most part, what you want to do is go to manage permissions. There's a course, as a settings, and then admin portal, and then settings, and then there's more content in there. But that, of course, is more for the admin course. All right. All right. So once those reports are shared, now you can display them inside of SharePoint as well as Teams. All right. But there are some caveats as it pertains to sharing them inside of both of them. Just make sure I'm logged in as the right person. All right, so the first thing is, this is actually a site that I put together. This is not actually an Air Force site, but I have to kind of brand it and make it look kind of good. So the first thing is we have here is a Power BI. Let me sign in real quick. So the way that this is displayed is really using a iframe, right? So there are some caveats to this. This is not going to easily work inside of anything but commercial clients. Let me rephrase that. Let me kind of back up, all right? So if I edit this page, this web part is not the Power BI web part. That only pretty much work in commercial clients and a few other clients that has been configured to make it work, right? So inside of your client, what you want to do is use this web part, right? This embedded web part, once you use this iframe, and then it will allow you to view Power BI web parts, right? So if you type in here embed, this is the web part that you want to use, right? So I'm just going to jump through the caveats, and then I'm going to jump through what's going to work for you, right? So if I go back here inside this report, you click on share, embed report. Again, this is not going to work for you. If you was in certain environments, you click on SharePoint, you take this code right here, you put that code inside of Power BI. All right, you add the report. It'd be funny if it worked. You click on here. And then what it should do is grab the report for you, the page name and display name, but as you can see, it's not working, right? There's a little credential issues here and there. So how do we get that to work? How do we display it like this? Again, I said use the embed one, but again, there's a few caveats. So I'm just going to delete this one. I'm not going to use this code. I'm going to use another code, all right? I'm going to use this one right here. Before we use that one, there's another caveat that you have to do, right? Because, and this may work in your environment, that way may work in your environment, depending on if it's set up correctly. But I just want to show you there's a workaround, all right? So you want to go to settings first as an admin of the SharePoint site. Then you want to go to your site settings. You want to click on HTML field security. You want to add in your URL right here. Mine is already in there. So I'm just going to add that. Take off the HTTPS. Add this. It's already added. Click OK. And then now that embed will work for you. All right. So
Just
again, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was distracted for a moment, but just to be clear, these have to be published to service somewhere, right? Which you have the government cloud service that you're publishing to now.
Yeah, definitely. I'm in the government GCC cloud right now.
Sure. But you can't use it with a desktop file, correct? There's no PBIX out there anywhere.
Yeah, so so once you publish that PBX file to Power BI services right here,
right?
And then what you want to do is configure the SharePoint. Let me just go through it again.
No, that's good. I think I saw that. I just missed the beginning part. I think I missed the stuff. I want to make sure that it doesn't work with a local PBIX. You have to publish it to one of the servers.
100% correct. So, and then once it is published to the server, and then what you can do is click on web or portal. This will not work. And then use this one right here, right?
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. So once you use the iframe inside the embed, and then it'll work for you. All right, so I'm just going to edit this. I'm just going to remove this one. And add the embed again. Embed web part. Just going to throw in that script. Give it a couple seconds. And it easily works, right? I would say test out the other way and see if it works as well. The other way will actually make this much bigger. You actually get more options, but this embed works perfectly. So if I want to click on, let's just say Belize, you can see everything works perfectly because this is the iframe directly into that, right? Now, again, if there's any caveats, if there's any issues, then it may be because the way that your security is set up. So HIPS may be blocking things. Your, what's the word I'm looking for? Your your security may be blocking things. I'll say it that way. There can be a lot of things that can block, and that's understandable because sometimes configurations and systems needed to do that so that information is not leaked. But by all means, you may want to contact your IT support to make sure that there is an exception to display that. Again, some of you may have already experienced that the regular SharePoint Power BI web part does work in your environment. If that's the case, all you really want to use is this right here. All right. So I'll say try that one out first with that Power BI web part. If it does not work, then by all means, use the workaround. All right. And then you should be good to go. All right. So do we have any questions? All right. So the next part is usually extremely easy. And I'm laughing because like last night it gave me a hiccup, but all right. So and it probably do give me a hiccup as well here, but no problem. In fact, sometimes I like the hiccups when I'm talking to a crowd of people, just because if I experience it, then I can show you the workaround. All right. So I know I'm going to experience that hiccup, but I don't mind. I'm going to click on add a new tab. Let me kind of back it up a little bit. I'm going to go to Teams. All right. And then I'm going to click on add a tab here. All right. Of course, I should have full access to add a tab. Then I'm just going to type in here Power BI. All right. Click on that. And then it's saying unable to access Power BI. All right. And you may be wrecking your brain over that. You may be looking for a search, Googling. It's because it says it's not a license assigned to this person. That's basically the issue. Technically it is, but I'm going to leave that alone. What I'm going to do is a nice workaround. All right. I'm going to go to other account. All right. Oh, let's see here. There we go. Jeff account. Refresh Teams. I logged in, logged back out, so that's probably what the issue came from. And with this account, good to go. With this account, I'm just going to try it again. It'd be funny if it didn't work, but so I'm just going to select a workspace. In this case, these are workspaces that I have access to, of course. Select Air Force. That's the report that I want. Again, the people must have access to that report to see that in this tab. I'm just going to click Save. And there we go. We got our Power BI report filtered based on a role level security. Just going to make it bigger. There we go. Voila. It's really that easy inside of Power BI. There's really, inside of Teams, there's really no issues as well. I can go outside the scope and say that you can actually add this to a tab on the left-hand side or pin it over here. But I'm not going to go through that today. But if you want to know how to do that, that's another class that I offer as well, pinning to Microsoft Teams, kind of like the CBR has their portal. But as you can see here, Power BI works very well inside of Teams so that you can have a integrated solution across the board inside of one location and sharing your dashboards to your colleagues directly inside of Teams. So believe it or not, that's pretty much it. I'm just going to do a quick recap of what we discussed today. We did a quick overview of the Power platform. We know what Power BI is. We know what Power BI desktop as well as services is. We understand the workflow of the Power BI desktop, this security overview. We know how to sign in. We know the limitations of role level security. And we set up roles, we apply those roles, we test them, and then we, of course, manage that and directly inside of Power BI services. After that, we looked at the roles and their permission levels. We know how to share reports via a report, a dashboard, a workspace, as well as a data set. In addition to that, we know how to change permissions. All right. We know how to remove access. I don't think I removed access, so I can do that in a couple of seconds. As well as we can verify permissions, of course, when we're adding Power BI to SharePoint and Teams. We'll add it to SharePoint by workaround if that one option does not work. And of course, we can easily add it to Teams as well. All right. So how do you remove permissions? Let's go back and look at that. I'm going to go and that's as admin. So you can go back to the drop-down menu. You can do that at a workspace level or a content level. All right. So at a workspace level, you can click here, workspace access. Just don't want to remove him. And then if you want to remove Bob, you can just click on the drop-down menu and then click remove. All right. You can also do that at a content level. All right. I'm not going to remove them, but that's pretty much it. Simple, straightforward. Do we have any questions? So someone asked, is the training recorded? I think that Jake maybe have hit record. Did you hit record, Jake, on this one? Yeah, I think it is recorded. Yep, sure is.
Yep, I sure did, Jeff.
So let's go and stop the recording so that when I want to compress it, I can send it out. I appreciate that, Jake.